Obviously a good weekend. Whenever, you go 6-0, you don't have a lot to complain about. We have some things we're going to work on, but I felt overall we figured out a way to win ball games and some tough ball games. So we had a lot of postseason teams here this past weekend. So obviously I felt like as the weekend went on, our pitching got better. I thought Lessentine and Lefty did a tremendous job. So I'm excited to kind of see them continuing to progress. I think our lineup was very balanced attack. There was times that I felt the bottom of our lineup helped. I felt like our middle of our lineup, in some games was big. And then obviously the top of our lineup as well. So for me, it's like continuing to build on that and making sure, because we, again, this weekend are going to face a bunch of postseason teams. So it'll be good for us. But overall, way more good than bad. Just got to clean up a couple of pieces. Yeah.
What are those concerns possibly? It's only such a small sample, but yeah. I know you're a little bit of a person to look and say, okay.
Yeah. I think from an offensive standpoint, we did really well in every game except maybe ACU, you could say. Utah State took us a little while, but we eventually figured it out. And it's the first game. But I think when we're really successful, we're taking walks when we need to take them. And then, like Frankie Vrazel, I think, did a heck of a job of swinging at pitches in her zone. So I think just tidying up that a bit. I felt like on a couple of our drag bunts, we squared really late. Like we were trying to be too fancy, too quick with it. So I'd like us to review that and just kind of go back to the drawing boards. And then there was a couple of base running things that we did that I feel like we can clean up. So I look at base running a lot just because I think it really can change the momentum of the game. So pitching wise, I don't think, you guys, what we need to clean up. I think, throwing strikes, like Lessentine had a great game, but she still had 3 walks. So we talked about that. But as a freshman for her first outing, tremendous job. And I think, Grace Sparks had moments of brilliance, and then she kind of would just lose it. So I think it's just staying true to who we are versus trying to be something that we're not. Peters, the same thing of just being able to command all zones of her pitches, I think are going to be huge for her. So I think just from a pitching standpoint, being able to execute our locations a little bit better.
You talked about Frankie and KK, or just the team overall having quality at bats. Frankie and KK, I thought their first weekend out looked like veterans in the box. Did you kind of see that coming, during the preseason, that they'd be ready to go game 1?
Yeah. So I've watched KK for so many years. And she still had freshman moments, like, we know. But I knew she's ready for this. Like, she takes accountability. She's a student of the game. She is very genuine and wants the team to win. So I knew that she would be ready. And I also know that there's going to be some hiccups throughout the year. But I kind of expected that out of her. She doesn't act like a freshman at all. And I think our whole team would tell you that. Frankie surprised me, but didn't surprise me, because in the fall she was the same kid, right? Like in our Texas game and McLennan, a couple of the fall games, she did a tremendous job when she got her opportunities. And so, but you just don't know, because it's like their first weekend, they're freshmen, like what is that going to look like? We had huge crowds all weekend long, and so Frankie impressed me like that. She's fun, and she's another one that's just really puts her head down and worked. And the other one that did a good job, and she didn't get as many innings as I would have liked it, was Dee Dee Baldwin. When she came in there the last game for the last inning, she received very well. She was quiet. And I look at her as maybe getting some more innings, hopefully moving forward. But, yeah, I was impressed, yeah.
So what about, you played 6 games, not a true road game, you're going to third year, is this a completely different feel? You have a different feel for this team? Because, the expectation, I know you always say you want to start, you want to go to Oklahoma City, but it's something different, and to say it and actually be in that position. About that.
Yeah, I think for us, like, I'm more comfortable in who we are because I've had some of these players for 3 years, So I know what they're, like, what to expect from them on a consistency standpoint. I think that from a pitching standpoint, I always go back to pitching, but we have as much diversity and arms than we've ever had, and so you always feel better going into a weekend when you have 6 legitimate arms. And so I feel, even if, somebody's having an off day, I have a lot of options. Again, this weekend, we have a lot of single games. So I think I can't remember if it's Friday or Saturday. I think it's Saturday. We have 2 games in one day. Every other day, it's a single game. So from a workload standpoint on lefty, we're not going to kill her. And then we're going to be able to we could throw 6 different looks at people. So, and then I just think that as you've been here for 3 years, some of these players have been with you for 2 years. So even when you bring new people into your space, they really can indoctrinate them much quicker because they understand what we are and what we're about. So I think that piece is that's why I feel like I kind of know what to expect. I didn't, though, expect us not to come out the first inning and hit. We started to hit the 5th and 6th innings, but we did as the weekend went on. I'm not complaining about our offense at all this weekend. Yeah.
You can talk to the hitting coach.
Yeah. I'm going to tell him I need runs in the first as well. Yeah.
2 years ago, you were the unknown out there, basically.
Yeah.
This year, you're the second highest ranked team in the tournament. Y'all talk about hunter versus hunted, or with the number on the name, you're going to take a number 5 ranking into this tournament on national TV. Is that something y'all talk about?
Yeah, we do and we don't. I think we have to learn how to be the hunted instead of the hunter. I think up to this point we've been the hunter, but that's just as much fun to me as bring your best. Bring your best at me because we have this, and this. And so we're going to still play with edge. We're going to still have that, I always say spice, but our spice is going to be kind of in a different, from a different direction. So, even the Baylor game, give us your best punch. What are we going to do? We're going to punch right back. And so I think we have the confidence to absorb some of those and be able to respond. Now, is it going to bite us in the butt sometimes? Absolutely, it might. But I do think that they understand that they're not out of any game until the last out.
Just going into this weekend, obviously, these first few weeks that you're playing are, could be 4 or 6 games in a 4-day span.
Yeah.
So this feels like the first time you have this much pitching depth. Just how nice is it to have that going into some of these longer weekends?
It's actually really nice because, if we can eliminate some of the innings off of lefty, I think at the end of the year, she's going to be able to give us, she gave us everything she had. She could barely move at the end of last year, and she's give me the ball. And I'm like, you're right, here we go. And so I think to be able to sustain her high level of pitching through June, I think is our goal. Both her and I sat down and said, hey, what do you think? What do you, and she agreed. She's like, if I could sustain, my break on my up and my down and my change at the level that it is when I field my best, through the end of season, we know that my money is going to be on us, right? And so there's a plan. So even this weekend, Baylor, we knew we wanted to bring her in the high leverage. So she's still not getting away from the pressure, right? Those high stressful pitches, but we're not going 7 innings of it. She's going 2.5. And for her, it's hard because starting a game, ending a game is very different. And so she's got to learn, these are the other layers that we're kind of adding to her. So yeah, we're challenging you okay, you're great, you're starting well, but now can you start? Can you have a pause? Can you end? That's a lot of different looks, and I think I alluded to it on Sunday. Our plan was plan B. So hey, your rise ball's not really working today before we went into the game. And we're going to throw a crap ton of drops and we're going to increase your off-speed usage because there might be a game like this. And so, these are the things that I'm trying to poke at her to make her feel super uncomfortable and her to realize that hey, I can beat a great team even without my best stuff because I have this, and this in my toolbox. So, yeah.
Going on the road, you guys have a undefeated record going in. Do you feel like you have a lot of confidence going in, or maybe some concern with it being the first road test?
Yeah, I don't really have a concern. I think anytime any weekend comes, I'm, I don't know if concern's the word, but I respect the heck out of every opponent. Like, I feel like everybody could beat us. So I prep as if it's a, SEC conference game. So I think for me, I always want our foot on the gas pedal. And like our girls will tell you, like, I don't care who's on the other side. Like, I want to kick the living heck out of them. Like, I don't care if it's, I won't even say, but like, I don't care who it is. Like, we're against you. Like, you are the enemy. And so that's the tenacity, the fire that I want them to play each pitch. And that's what makes it so exhausting. So, when you go through these weekends and you're playing 5-6 games in 3 or 4 days, that's mentally exhausting. But when I challenged them, at the end of the year, I felt like we understood how to empty the tank all the way in a game and then be able to reload the next day and empty again. The more you can do that early on in the season and understand what that feels like and how that you can reload and how you can get yourself better each and every weekend, that's where greatness happens. And so that's my challenge to them. Like, I need everything you have for this game right now. Because it could be your last. That's the other thing. You never know, right? Like, things can happen. So I want them to, like, live life that way, like, to live it to the fullest.